part about two artists. First one is Piotr, also known as Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. He was um, born in May 7, 1840. He lived in Russia, Botkinsk Vyatka region. Cause of death was cholera. Why is Peter so important? Tchaikovsky was one of the most famous Russian composers. His music had great appeal for the general public by virtue of its tuneful, open-hearted melodies, impressive harmonies, and colorful picturesque orchestration, all of which evoke a profound emotional response. Some of his most famous works was well known in Disney, and the title was The Sleeping Beauty. Some of his other works was The Nutcracker and 1812 Overture and Three Ballets. Tchaikovsky is famous because he was one of the most loved Russian composers. His music is famous for its strong emotion, and his technical skill and strict work habits help guarantee its lasting appeals. My second artist is Johann Strauss II. He is also known as the Waltz King. His date of birth was October 25, 1825. Place of birth was in Austria Neubau, Vienna. Why is Strauss important? He was an Austrian composer of light music, particularly dance music and operettas. He also composed over 500 waltz, polkas, quadrilles, and other types of dance music, as well as several operettas and ballet. Some of Strauss' famous work was The Waltz King, also Voices of Spring and Wiener Blood. He was known also when he played his piano. He was very good at it, so he used it for some of his famous works.
Good afternoon. My report is to analyze and evaluate their works and writing. The two artists is Leonardo da Vinci and Pablo Picasso. Leonardo da Vinci, the Italian word name Leonardo da Vinci, born is April 15, 1452 in Ciano near Vinci, Republic of Florence, Italy. Died May 2, 1590 in the Kingdom of France. He known for Italian painter, drawing, science, architect, and engineering skills and intelligence. The work is The Last Supper, 1492, and Mona Lisa in 1503 are among the most widely popular and influential painters of the Renaissance. His notebooks serve with a spirit of scientific inquiry and mechanical that were centuries ahead of their time. The first works in Leonardo da Vinci is Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa is 16th century's oil painting and is the most famous portrait of Leonardo. Mona means Lady of Madame in modern Italian, simple by Madame Lisa. The Mona Lisa is most famous for her facial expression, smiles, and the Vinci masterings of form and colors in the painting. The Last Suppers in 1498 ay naglalarawan sa huling hapunan ni Jesus ng kanyang 12 disipulo. Naging tanyag ito dahil sinasabi na si Saint John ang isang Mary Magdalena. Sinasabi rin sa Da Vinci Code ng kanyang nagkakagulang mga tao sa larawan dahil nabunyag ang lihim ni Jesus na siya may kalaguyo. Ang gabi bago si Kristo ay pinagtaksilan ng isa sa kanyang mga alagad. Iniyahan din ng mga tao siya ay saluhan at sama-samang kumain at sabihin sa kanila na dumating sila upang sila ay aking hugasan ng kanilang mga paa. Tanda ito ng lahat ng pagkapantay-pantay sa ilalim ng mata ng Panginoon. Based on the picture writings, not only did Leonardo write with special kinds of shorthand that they invented himself, he also mirrored his writing starting at the right side of the page and moving to the left. Only when he was writing something intended for other people did he write in the normal direction. The purpose of mirrors writing as known, but one idea his hand clean, people who were contemporaries of Leonardo left records that they saw him write and paint left-handed. He also made sketch and showing his own left hard at work. The second artist is Pablo Picasso, born October 25, 1881 in Malaga, Spain, become one of the greatest and most influential artists of the 20th century and the creator with George Baquet of Cubism, a Spanish painter, printmaker, and stage designer. Picasso was considered radical in his work. After a long prolific career, he died April 8, 1973 in Monges, France. The girls mandolins to its oval shape and curved lines, edging the stern lines and geometric forms that accompany the piece. The Cubism movement conventional's idea of painting, it's opened the door to the new stage of artworks. The geometric form and shape each of these artworks characterize the Cubist paintings. Picasso's idea was to construct an object rather than represent it that help from the modernistic art style carried today. Three musician, it's all painting. Their musician looks like collage made from cut out pieces of colored paper. Their forms are simplified into angular shape that interlock a zigzag puzzle, and the flat colors created surface pattern with multiply. Dark brown is used for the background wall and also for a forehead table. Parts of the figure faces and under the table. The same blue appears in the flower portion of the painting possible as furnitures and on the tabletop as part of still life. While some objects are easily identified, the guitar in the center, the sheet music, and the clarinet on the left hand, like the file of object on the table, are less clear.
Reporting for the two artists. First one is Vincent William van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh was a Dutch post-impressionist painter who posthumously became one of the most famous influential figures in the history of Western art. In a decade, he created about 2,100 artworks. The three examples of his works and art, one is the Starry Night, the Olive Trees, Memory of the Garden at Eden. Starry Night was made in the year of 1888 with a medium of oil on canvas, and was one of the most recognized pieces of art in the world. Actually, it can be seen everywhere, sometimes in coffee mugs, t-shirts, towels, magnets. It is noticeable that the work has a brush stroke. And for the sky, they are swirled each dab of coloring rolling with the clouds around the stars and moon. The story behind of Starry Night. Van Gogh created this when he was in this hospital. He was given a chance to draw, to paint, and to read. And for the help of those activities, he recovered from his mental health problems. The original painting of Starry Night is located at Museo d'Orsay in Paris. Next one is the olive trees, created in the year 1889 with a medium of oil on canvas. This painting represents the blazing heat of this Mediterranean afternoon against a ground scored as if by some invisible torrent. Intense green olive trees twist and climb, capped by the rolling, dwindling hillocks of the distant Alps, beneath a light-washed sky with a bundle ectoplasmic cloud. Van Gogh created this when he voluntarily entered the asylum of Saint Remy in south of France in spring. He said he did this a landscape with olive trees and also a new study of a starry sky. Based on my analysis, the painting has, of course, the olive trees with a white cloud and the mountain behind, as well as the rise of the moon and the night effect of it. This painting is now located at Museum of Modern Art, New York. The next one is the Memory of the Garden at Eden. It is created at year of 1888 and of course with a medium of oil on canvas. The garden at Eden refers to the personage at Garden at Eden, now Eden Lure, where Vincent's father, Pastor Theodorus Van Gogh, had been called in 1875. The painting shows a boy and a woman walking together in the Garden of Eden. The boy was Vincent, and this is the memory when he visited his widowed cousin and he got infatuated. This painting is now located at Hermitage, St. Petersburg. The next artist is Giuseppe Fortunino Francesco Verdi, or also known for Giuseppe Verdi. He was an Italian opera composer and he developed a musical education with the help of a local patron. I have here three examples of his opera composed. The first one is La Traviata opera. Next is Messa di Riem. Last is the Aida opera. La Traviata is an opera in the three acts by, of course, Giuseppe Verdi, set to an Italian libretto by Francesco Maria Fiabe. The opera was originally titled Violetta after the main character. It was written in 1853 and performed first in Teatro La Fenice, Venice, Italy. The opera represents a classic and romantic tone of song.
Libiamo negli eti carici che la bellezza infiora e là fuggevol ora si ne via voluta Libiam nei dolci fremiti.
Next one is the Messa di Riem. It is also a teatro, a musical setting of the Catholic funeral mass for four soloists. It is composed in the year of 1874 and performed first at May 22 in 1874. This opera song is created for honoring the memory of someone who died and remembering his journey. It's a kind of tone of intense and has a strong music. Last one is the Aida, also an opera. It is set in the Old Kingdom of Egypt. It was commissioned by Cairo's Khedivial Opera House and had its premiere there in December 24, 1871. In that performance, conducted by Giovanni Bottesini, there are no clear evidence when it is composed, but it is performed first in December 24, 1871. It is one of the popular opera music used nowadays. This is commonly used for the graduation and other celebrations when it comes to universities and other schools as well.
This is HM3A. I'm going to report about Ludwig van Beethoven. Ludwig van Beethoven was born in Bonn, Germany. He studied in Vienna under Mozart and Haydn. In Vienna, he first made his reputation as pianist and teacher, and he became famous quickly. So Beethoven was a German composer, and he remains one of the most admired composers in the history of Western music. His work ranks among the most performed of the classical music repertoire. His work spanned the transition from the classical period to Romantic era. At this time, he composed many of his most popular works, such as the Fifth Symphony, the Emperor Concerto, the Eroica and Pastoral Symphonies, and his only opera, Fidelio. Beethoven developed a completely original style of music. It is reflected in his sovereign choice. His forms a peak in the development of tonal music and is one of the crucial evolutionary development in the history of music. So as you can see, Symphony Number 5 was written between 1804 and 1808. It is one of the best-known compositions in classical music and one of the most frequently played symphonies. It also considered as one of the cornerstone of Western music. So before his time, composer wrote works for religious services to entertain people, but people listened to Beethoven music for his own sake. As a result, he made more music independent for social or religious purposes. And about 1800, he discovered that he was slowly becoming deaf. And by 1820, he was almost totally deaf. Beethoven composed his greatest works. This includes the 5 piano sonatas, the Missa Solemnis, the Ninth Symphony with choral finale, and the last 5 string quartets. In the fall of 1826, Beethoven caught a serious cold which developed in a pneumonia, and he died on March 20.
To present to you is about Michelangelo Buonarroti and Johann Sebastian Bach's artwork. First is Michelangelo Buonarroti. Michelangelo di Lodovico Buonarroti, known simply as Michelangelo, was an Italian sculptor, painter, architect, and poet of the High Renaissance, born in the Republic of Florence, who exerted an unparalleled influence on the development of Western art. His artistic versatility was on such a high order that he is often considered a contender for the title of the atypical Renaissance man. Along with his rival, the fellow Florentine Leonardo da Vinci, several scholars have described Michelangelo as the greatest artist of his age and even as the greatest artist of all time. It means si Michelangelo ay isang sculptor, painter, architect at isang poet. At isa rin si Michelangelo na nag-influence ng Western art. At dahil sa galing niya sa art, si Michelangelo ay kinonsider bilang the contender sa title bilang the Artificial Renaissance Man. At ang kasama at naging rival din niya doon si Leonardo da Vinci. At ang mga several na scholar ay kinoconsider si Michelangelo bilang the greatest artist of his age or the greatest artist of all time. Next, a number of Michelangelo's work of painting, sculpture, and architecture rank among the most famous existence. His output in this field was prodigious given the sheer volume of the surviving correspondence, sketches, and reminiscences. He is the best documented artist of the 16th century. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng mga work of art ni Michelangelo ay nararank sa mga famous artwork ng ibang mga artists. At si Michelangelo rin ay naging best documented artist of the 16th century. Here are some of the famous artwork of Michelangelo Buonarroti. First is the Pieta. Ang sculpture na to ay ginawa ni Michelangelo nung siya ay 20 years old. Ang nire-represent sa art na ito ay si Mary na hawak ang katawan ni Jesus na lying in her lap. At ang signature ni Michelangelo ay may kita sa sash ni Mary. At ang sculpture na to ay kinreate noong 1499 at kasalukuyang makikita sa Basilica of the St. Peter. At ang medium na ginamit ni Michelangelo ay marble. Next is David. Ang sculpture na to ay ginawa sa Rome pagkatapos bumalik ni Michelangelo sa Florence. Pagbalik niya, gumawa siya ng sarili niyang version ng David at ang sculpture na to ay may taas na 5 meters. At ang sculpture na to ay kinreate noong 1501 at kasalukuyang nasa Accademia Gallery, Florence, Italy. At ang ginamit na medium ni Michelangelo ay marble. Next is the Rise and Christ. Ang sculpture na to ay kinukonsider na one of the admired works of the artist. Pero hindi ito kinukonsider ni Michelangelo na pinakamaganda niyang artwork or sculpture. Ang sculpture na to ay kinreate noong 1521 at kasalukuyang nasa Church of Santa Maria Sopra Minerva of Rome, Italy. At ang medium na ginamit ni Michelangelo sa sculpture na to ay marble. Next is Johann Sebastian Bach. Johann Sebastian Bach was a German composer and musician of the Baroque period. He is known for instrumental composition such as Brandenburg Concertos and Goldenberg Variation, and for vocal music such as the St. Matthew Passion and the Mass in the B minor. Since the 19th century Bach's revival, he has been generally regarded as one of the greatest composer of all time. It means si Bach daw ay isang German composer at musician noong Baroque period. Sumikat siya dahil sa mga compose niyang mga kanta at noong 19th century, si Bach ay kinonsider bilang one of the greatest composer of all time. Next, here are some of the famous composition of Johann Sebastian Bach. First is Goldenberg Variation. Goldenberg Variation proposedly written to suit an insomniac nobleman to sleep. Designed for harpsichord but equally enthusiastically claimed by the pianist, it consists of lyrical theme with 30 variations lasting about an hour. Bach put the theme through May-right permutation of mood and speed, and when the theme returns and adorned at the end, the scene of the momentous journey is complete. It means ang composition na ito ni Bach ay isinulat niya para ma-relax or to suit the people that can hear his song. At also, makakatulong to para makatulog ang mga tao ng mahimbing kapag ito ay pinakinggan nila. Next is the Well-Tempered Clavier, the 48. The Well-Tempered Clavier is a set of preludes and fugues in all 24 major and minor keys. 48 works in all. The 48 are just a grouping to listen as they are to play, earning their place among the best Bach work. And given that this music was never intended for an audience, it's hardly surprising that there's sense of intimacy about even the most extended and gratuitous of the piece. It means, ang composition nito ni Bach ay may set na 24 na minor key at may set na 24 na major key. Kaya siya tinawag na the 48. Ang the 48 ay just a grouping para mas maintindihan at mapakinggan nila ang iba't ibang mga keys pag ito ay piniplay nila. Next is Cantata number 21. Cantata number 21 is one of the most beautiful. Its text is popular subject in the Lutheran tradition. It's usually large scale and among the best Bach's work. Demonstrates that no one expressed anguish more than deliciously than Bach. It means, ang composition na to ni Bach ay kinoconsider na isa sa pinakamagandang composition niya. Dahil ang mga nakasulat sa kantang iyon ay mula sa popular na subject ni in the Lutheran tradition. At ang kantang ito ay usually a large scale at kasali sa mga best works ni Bach. That's all I report.
I'm Jan Ang Lakdao, and here's my top 2 composer. First is Frederick Chopin. He is born on March 1, 1810 in Poland. Polish-French composer and pianist of the Romantic period. He is solo pieces for piano. So, ang mga compose niya is more on pang-romantic or more on drama na mas mafe-feel mo yung mga gawa niya na kapag nag-iisa ka or gusto mong ma-relax, ito ang pakinggan mo sa kanya. So, here is the top 5 na gawa niya. So, narito ang kanyang mga top 5 compose. Una dito is Nocturne in E-flat, OP9 number 2. Isa ito sa mga pinakasikat at una niyang ginawa. Sunod is Piano Sonata number 2 in B-flat minor. Number 3, 24, Preludes, OP29. Pang-apat, Polonaise, Fantaise. At ang pang-lima, Ballad number 1 in G minor. Ito ang pinaka-soak sa lahat ng ginawa niya. At meron akong nakuha isang example na ginawa ni Frederick Chopin para naman meron kayong idea kung ano yung mga kinompose niya. At ang tugtog na narinig nyo ay ang Nocturne in E-flat, OP9 number 2. Kinompose niya yan between 1830 to 1832. And then ang next natin is si George Frederick Handel, born on February 23, 1685 sa Brandenburg sa Germany. Yeah. He is English composer ng Baroque era. So, ibig sabihin, siya yung mga pang-classic, yung mga compose niya. For the example is yung mga pang-classical na pang-operang music. Yeah. So, nandito yung kanyang top 5 na kinompose. Ang top 5 na compose na ginawa niya is Messiah, Water Music Suites, Nos 1-3, Music for the Royal Fireworks, Arrival of the Queen of Sheba from Solomon, Israel in Egypt. Magbibigay uli ako ng isang kinompose ni George Frederick Handel. So, pakinggan po natin. Pakinggan nyo is ang compose ni George Frederick Handel na Arrival of the Queen of Sheba noong 1748. Isa siyang dramatic works na ginawa niya at isa din sa pinakamahabang kinompose ni George Frederick Handel.